HBL Hair Care, healthy ingredients for healthy hair. Enhance health, reveal natural beauty, and give new life to your hair. Experience the holistic difference of HBL Hair Care.
Hi, welcome to this edition of North County Voice. With us today is Mayor James Wood of the City of Oceanside. Mr. Mayor, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
One of the things that's recently happened is a completed budget, which you've been through more than once.
Yes.
And how do you characterize this one? Are you happy with where the money's going?
I'm very happy. It's always a process going through, try to have money at different locations, but yeah, I'm happy with the city manager and the staff. They did a pretty good job.
Is there one sort of outstanding thing that if magically there was more money you would fund?
Probably the fire department. We had the safer grants. We kind of over budgeted, or the chief did, and we were too many firemen. But we made it a situation that we'll hire another ambulance and keep at least 6 of those people to do the job in Oceanside. So I'm kind of sad about that because the fire department are somebody important along with the police, public safety.
Okay. Over the last number of years, of course, initially we dealt with the decline when the problems initially hit. Would you characterize the city as still on the way back up in terms of the revenue base?
Yes. It's a slow process, but we finally see us going upward, finally, the cities. And I think all the cities in the county and the state are a little bit better off right now. It seems to be what's happening.
So what do you attribute that to? Do you think you're just staying with the region, or do you think there's some element of business friendliness or some growth? Oceanside's maybe outperforming a little bit?
I think all of those issues are part of the reason we're doing well right now. But, we're not quite out of the financial situation we'd like to be. It's moving in that direction. I think the whole county seems to be moving in a good direction.
One of the issues that has generated a lot of conversation for at least a couple of budget cycles is the new pool.
Yes.
Is that up on your list?
Well, it's not a priority in the sense that it's a nice to have, need to have. $17 to $20 million to do another pool. We have 2 in Oceanside already. The school district doesn't pay to use the pools and haven't for a long time, so it's going to become an issue. If the pool gets built, it's probably going to be charging everybody that uses it, including the school district.
Another local issue that we talk about all the time is traffic, and instead of approaching it directly, there's a pilot cycling lane on Coast Highway. How do you view the results so far?
Well, if you mean the South Oceanside, the lanes that were changed for Logan after the accident, I get negative feedback most of the time that it's really a bottleneck, causes a lot of traffic issues. The businesses don't like it. So it's something we're going to have to review. We had it changed to look at it and review it to see how it goes, but I'm generally getting negative feedback on it.
In light of the fact that just before we went on, you talked to me about 46 years in the service of Oceanside.
Yes.
The last, how many as mayor?
Well, about 14 on the council.
About 14 of that 46. It occurs to me that you get a lot of individual personal feedback. Would you say that's how you get most of your input, from sort of unofficial, hey, mayor?
Yes, there's no doubt. Phone calls, personal contacts on the street. Well, let's face it, times have changed a lot for politics. A lot of the feedback I get is from email. It's usually a prominent issue. In the morning when I get in, I might have 60 to 80 emails that I have to go through, my secretary goes through. And it's like, that's the way people contact the mayor or their constituents calling their representative and say, this is an issue. It's usually email.
One of the reasons I'm bringing it up, with the national election, there's a lot of commentary about politicians being out of touch.
Yes.
And our country started on local politics, in effect. Do you feel you're more or less in touch as Oceanside grows? It's grown substantially over the 46 years we're talking about.
Well, as you know, we're the third largest city in the county. That means a lot. And I think we're in touch with the citizens as best we can, considering what's out there, the options. Telephone, email, personal contacts, those things have improved. So I think it's a little bit better contact with the general population right now. I think it's improved.
Do you tend to hear more on the negative side or the positive side?
I would say the negative side.
I thought I would know the answer to that.
Yes.
Okay. Do you make an adjustment for that? Do you sort of mentally say, okay, somebody must be supporting this. It's just I'm hearing more the negative. How do you adjust for that?
Well, generally speaking, when we get some kind of complaint, let's say, about any issue, and they call for anything, especially email, we got to find out from the staff right away if it's something that's really important and try to fix it, look into it, and find out what's going on. But as you know, in Oceanside, a handful of people sending emails or calls and complaints make it a big issue. We have to address it. Sometimes it's weird, we'll get 300 emails saying they want something or don't want something, and 300 out of 184,000 people isn't the answer. It's like 300 people don't voice for the 184,000. So we have to look into it and see what it is and how important it is to that group or the whole city.
In some case, one voice can have an outsized impact if that happens to be the voice of a lawsuit.
Yes.
Which has happened more than once in the city.
Yes, it's frustrating. Oceanside is a popular place. It's booming, I think. But some of our big projects throughout Oceanside, and generally without a local paper, the citizens don't know what's going on. And we don't have a local paper per se. And things come up, people want to know, they call us or email us, but it's a frustrating situation where some of our major projects in Oceanside that we've tried to have for years have been tied up in litigation by attorneys who really want to just have a financial settlement and tie up that project for years. The hotel at the beach, that's a prime example. Valley drive-ins, we constantly get those things, and people are suing us for unknown causes, and they want us to pay out and say, give me a cash buyout, I'll leave you alone. It's frustrating. I
can imagine. In addition to your local role as mayor, you sit on Sandag, you're the rep, and recently Sandag put out a half-cent increase. What's your position on that?
I supported it over the couple of years. All the representatives of Sandag, that's all the cities in the county, really supported it. It's one way of, a half-cent sales tax was one way to say those projects that are important to you, like I-5, 78 corridor, are really important, but do you want to have them done sooner than waiting 10, 20 years? And the half-cent is a way to do that, get them up more frequent. And Sandag was really in support of that until recently. We had the Republican Party say they don't want to support it because it's a tax. Well, that was a lot of money to each individual cities. Some of the priority roadways are going to fix. A lot more money went to mass transit and the rail lines, et cetera. So it was a good thing. And all the representatives that sit at Sandag are probably more in tune to what their constituents want at each city, really know more about it. And they agreed to that. Well, all of a sudden, we're told that the Republican Party doesn't support it. It surprised us. We voted to pass it and put it on the ballot. Let the citizens decide if it's important or not to bring up some of these transportation projects now instead of 10 to 15, 20 years later. So it's been supported and it's going to go on the ballot. And I support it.
Another board you sit on, another activity is Innovate 78.
Yes.
Tell our viewers about that.
That's where all the mayors of the North County got together a couple of years ago, really more than a couple of years ago, but let's say a couple of years we really got down to sitting and talking about it. All the mayors meet about twice a month to discuss what's good for North County. The 78 corridor was picked because it's one of our industrial areas throughout North County and really involves most of the North County cities. And we've worked together. We've dropped some boundaries on the issues. All the mayors, the city managers, and their economic development staff work together, trying to bring things and businesses to North County. It's been a really positive for all of us to work together and say, it's not just about one city, it's about the North County.
One of the other issues that I think you're optimistic about is some downtown activities.
Yes.
That is part of the recovery. You want to hit a few highlights for us?
Well, I think number one, most of the people already know about. We have a lot of restaurants opening up, beer brewery restaurants, a lot more places to go downtown besides the street fair on every Thursday night. People are coming to downtown Oceanside, and I think it's important because for a long time, most people were afraid of Oceanside. It was a crime-ridden military town for whatever reason downtown. And I think the street fair, having people come down every Thursday night for entertainment and food and shopping, and they wander off to the pier and walk on it, it's been really positive for Oceanside. That image has changed a lot. We've put a lot more things down there for people to see and do. Certainly, Oceanside's a tourist town. Our beach and our pier and all the other things like the harbor are important to us, and we see it improving. It's really been wonderful to see that finally happen.
It is, and that comes from, some of that comes from the top, from the city council making decisions. And those decisions are obviously impacted by who's on the city council. There's 2 seats open. Are you going to make an endorsement for one or both of those?
Well, I think the deputy mayor and I have talked for a while, and I know we're trying to support a particular lady, Linda Gonzalez, who's a PhD. She used to be a superintendent at LA schools. She speaks fluent Spanish. Her husband's an ex-LAPD cop. Her son's a border patrolman. She seems to have the situation well in hand. She's a wonderful speaker. But mainly, she's been all around. I think her family was diplomats down in Mexico and Honduras, I think. And she's very well educated, a good speaker, a lot of time behind her. She's been a Republican, Democrat, both ways, depending. She goes for the party person, not so much the party. So she's up here. She's got a house in Oceanside. She's lived in Bonsall and other places, but she mainly is from Oceanside, and her roots are really here. Her family, she's moved into a house that she owns here in Oceanside, and she's been one of the smartest and nicest people that I've met in the running for council. So Chuck and I talked to her, and I think she's a good candidate.
And what about your political future? Are you going to run again?
I'll run again. I think this will be my last try at it because I'm getting a little older and I'd like to spend some more time with the grandkids. I still love Oceanside. They're wonderful people, and the town is certainly positive and moving forward.
Mayor, thanks for giving us this concise recap of the state of Oceanside as you see it.
I thank you.
And thanks for watching. We will be back after a short break with Oceanside City Clerk Zack Beck. Stay with us.
Want to know what it's like sometimes to be a teen? Your friends have decided you're no longer worthy of their company. The person that you're dating has made it very clear that what they expect and what you expect are 2 different things. Your parents, they worry a lot, but have a really hard time understanding everything that you're going through. Sometimes you need help. That's why there's yourlifeyourvoice.org. Ready to listen and to help. Go ahead, take the first step. yourlifeyourvoice.org.
Food. It nourishes, brings us together, and adds flavor to life. That's why it's important to wash hands, surfaces, and fresh produce. Keep raw meat, poultry, and seafood separate from ready-to-eat foods like fruits and vegetables. And cook to proper temperatures using a food thermometer. Enjoy and refrigerate leftovers within 2 hours. For more tips on safely preparing foods, visit homefoodssafety.org.
Welcome back to North County Voice. We have with us Oceanside City Clerk Zack Beck. Zack, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, John.
You know, normally when we have elected officials on this show, it's it's been good to talk to you over the last 20 years, 30 years, or 40 years.
Yeah, that's true.
We know each other, but you are, in fact, probably the youngest elected official this city has had.
That's true. Yeah, it's an honor.
And we always talk about the depth of experience. Let's talk this time about what it's like. I mean, what kind of experience is it to come in at such an early age?
Well, thanks for the question. I mean, it's an honor to serve. To be elected as a city's representative when I was 25 years old back in 2012, it was really an eye-opening experience and quite an honor to be able to come to the city and utilize my experience in the private sector, the nonprofit sector, as well as the public sector to come in and make some advancements in the city clerk department. So I've really enjoyed my experience, and it's been a pleasure to serve. And really, I want to use that word again, it's an honor to be able to represent the city's interests in the city clerk department. So I absolutely love it.
You know, the other thing that I think is unique about the situation is that the job of the other elected officials is pretty self-evident. We know what the mayor is.
Very
we know
true.
what the city council
Very
person
true.
does. I'm not sure we know what a part-time, and your job is a part-time job.
It's part-time, yeah, that's true.
City clerk does. So
Yeah.
explain that for us.
Sure, I'd be honored to. When it comes to the city clerk department, my role in our department is to be the chief legislative, historical, and election service representative for the city of Oceanside. So we deal with documentation and administration for the city of Oceanside, whether it's public records requests, facilitating the elections. We have a broad spectrum, and one of the most visible roles you'll see with myself is I'm actually at the city council meeting, taking the minutes, doing the work there so that we're making sure we're accurately documenting what's transpiring at the council meeting. But I'm very fortunate, even though my position is part-time, I have a dedicated staff of 9 full-time members who help to administer all the work that transpires, and without their dedication and support, we wouldn't be able to get the work done. So I'm honored to lead the department, and it's a really unique situation being a part-time position because I also work at my church as a youth pastor as well, but I love the ability to be as well in government and in ministry simultaneously and being able to serve people in a broad spectrum throughout North County.
So in your first term, what do
Yeah.
you think some of the accomplishments have been?
Yeah, we've had some pretty remarkable accomplishments. One of the unfortunate things that transpired prior to my being elected city clerk was my predecessor, Barbara Regal Wayne, who was an admirable public servant, became ill in her last 2 years in tenure. And unfortunately, as a result of that, she had the backlog of the minutes. We weren't caught up to date. And unfortunately, when I came in, we were backlogged about 2 years. So I reprioritized our tasks and sent our staff right on it. And they actually worked hard to get us fully caught up to the minutes for the city. So that's one accomplishment. In addition to that, we instituted a project called NetFile. Now, NetFile is an election-based system which allows the citizens of Oceanside to be able to access campaign contribution information for all candidates online. So they no longer have to come down to my office, wait for a couple of minutes, pay 10 cents for a record copy to actually see where did Jack Feller or Esther Sanchez get a contribution. They can go onto the city's website and find it right there. So that's one additional thing that we did. Along those lines, we actually initiated another net-based initiative called Agenda Item Position Slip, where now city members can actually go on the city website, and if they want to voice their opinion at a council meeting, they don't have to come to a city council meeting to wait 4 hours to speak for 3 minutes. They can just go online, click they support, they oppose, or they're neutral on a position, and then that information will go directly to the council members prior to the council meeting taking place. So those are a few accomplishments, and we have another one that I'm working on right now, which is called Enterprise Content Management. And that is where we're looking to automate and streamline efficiencies throughout the entire city of Oceanside to reduce paper and increase transparency by having more automated workflows throughout the city clerk department, finance department, IT, HR, and the city manager's office. So working on a couple of other things along those lines, but those are some of the primary accomplishments we've had in the last 4 years, just trying to make the department more technologically advanced.
Tell us about the role of the city clerk in elections.
In elections, so our chief responsibility is to administer the elections for the city of Oceanside, and that involves working collaboratively with the San Diego County Registrar of Voters. Michael Vu, who's the current registrar, is someone who I meet with on a regular basis. We try and find out where we need to have precincts, how we're going to have the ballots produced for the city of Oceanside, and we make sure that everything is happening in a neutral manner, where we make sure we're just being fact-focused, counting the number of votes that come in, so that way there's an accurate representation on election day as to who the citizens want to be representing them on the council or as the mayor. So that's primarily our responsibility, is to work in conjunction with the San Diego County Registrar of Voters.
Let's talk about this use of the word neutral.
Yeah.
In almost every other elected position,
Yeah.
the official role of the winner
Correct.
is to stay in touch with the voters
Yeah.
and to some extent reflect what they want.
Totally.
All right, it's a representative democracy.
Completely agree.
Or a republic, however you want to
Yeah,
phrase it.
exactly.
That's official. Now, in your case, you're in an unusual situation
Yeah.
in that you really can't accept that influence.
Correct.
Because you have a set of rules and regulations
Yeah.
that you have to meet.
You have to abide by those.
So has that been a challenge?
You know, I would say a challenge to an extent, but actually it's been a growing experience for myself personally, because for my personal self, it's really important to be fact-focused and based on what are the facts of the issue, and whether someone's passionate on the left or passionate on the right, I need to just make sure that I'm maintaining an independent spirit in the city clerk's department, because I cannot lead our department into waters that would be either partisan or polarized. I just don't think that's appropriate for our department. So for me, as an individual, I've had to grow a lot in the area of just listening to what different council members, different constituents are expressing, and trying to find the most middle ground possible in order for us to project our department forward where we're accurately representing the interest of the majority of the city. Because I would say, although the city has a tendency to have a polarized council switching from the left to the right, I would say the general electorate in the city of Oceanside is pretty balanced for the most part. I've spent a number of years campaign election cycles knocking on doors and talking eye to eye, knee to knee with voters and just hearing what their needs are. And I would say most people are just caring whether or not we're able to advance our city forward, whether we're doing things fiscally responsible. And I think that as a city clerk, I get to most accurately represent the city of Oceanside and the citizens of Oceanside, because I don't have to deal with the ebbs and flows of political sways that go throughout the city and throughout the nation. And it's really an honor to do that, but it does require a lot of discipline, and it requires a lot of receptivity to even criticism and hearing what people are saying, and being able to juxtapose that with the ability to still move our department forward, where I'm not allowing that influence to shift our responsibility, which is to be neutral, which is to be fact-focused, and which is to be apolitical. So it's been a growing experience, and I'm actually enjoying that thoroughly, because it allows me to interact on an equal basis with all the council members, as well as with any political individual, whether they're representing the Republican Party, Democratic Party, or they're deeply independent. I love the ability to be able to interact with everyone without an agenda myself.
So what does moving forward mean? I'm going to
Yeah.
guess technology is a big part of that.
Technology is a huge part of that. So I mentioned previously some of the initiatives that we've put forward, whether it was NetFile or the agenda item position slip. Now it's the enterprise content management system. To me, once again, reflecting the interests of citizens, when I've knocked on those doors, they've said they want the city to run more efficiently. They want to be able to respond quickly with the way the economy is moving, as well as we want it to be as advanced and streamlined as possible. So for me, being able to institute new technological advancements in the city clerk's office, we're able to cut costs, be more efficient, and automate some of our processes to save taxpayer dollars. So to me, that's exactly what government should be doing. We shouldn't be getting caught up in the polarized politics of the day. We should be focused on solutions and producing those solutions for the citizens who've elected us. So that's why I think technology is key for the city clerk department, and I want to continue to push that envelope, and hopefully the rest of the council will follow suit and try and find technological advancements across the board so that we can make our government smaller, simpler, and more streamlined.
Do you get input from the city council?
So in my office, not so much. Generally, I will interact with the council when it comes to like budget negotiations. When we had this last budget negotiation for our upcoming fiscal year, I'll speak with them on those kinds of items. Generally, I respond to the council when they have requests for documentation, or if they have questions concerning the minutes or the upcoming election filing system. So they don't really question too much about what's transpiring in the city clerk department. I wish they would more. I stay in contact with them on a regular basis, but they have really big issues to attend to throughout the city. And actually, I will take it as somewhat of a badge of honor that they're not as concerned, because our department runs so smoothly and streamlined, and we're not dropping anything. So they see it as we are running a department that's going in accordance with how we should be, and that's more streamlined and efficient. So I think that's a representation of what the city council feels, that we're doing a good job. So I accept that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other major four of the triad, right? There's
Yeah.
the council and you. And
Yeah.
how do you relate to, you and your department relate
Yeah.
to the city manager and the other city staff?
Well, one thing I have to say about the city of Oceanside is we have wonderful staff from the top down. The city manager, Michelle Lawrence, is an amazing city manager. She's brought a level of civility and stability to the city council and to the city of Oceanside as a whole. So I think she does an excellent job leading our department, leading our city forward. And as a city clerk who's independent from her, I do tend to follow her suit on some of the recommendations that she has when it comes to how things are working in engineering, planning, finance, throughout the water department, as well as neighborhood services and departmental services. I find that we have a very advanced and educated and equipped staff. all that they are looking for is leadership throughout the city council to be able to guide them and direct them to where we want to go as a city. So I know that we're equipped to do so. We just need the vision and foresight to do that. And I'm excited to partner with them on a daily basis when they're requesting documents or archived records, or how we can even bring new advancements to their department. For example, with enterprise content management, we're going to be working with other departments, and they're collaborating with us to not only improve our department's efficiencies, but improve other departments' efficiencies, specifically HR, finance, IT, and even the city manager's office. So I love working with the other city staff, and I find that they do an excellent job for the city of Oceanside, and the residents should be proud of the city staff that we have at City Hall and beyond.
The upcoming election, particularly the general election, is a big one. Right?
It's a
very
presidential
election.
huge,
There's a Sandag half-cent tax.
True.
There's some other ballot initiatives we can talk about. What role do you have in making sure that the ballot is understandable and fair? Is that completely a county issue, or do you weigh in on that?
So that is simultaneously a county issue as well as a city issue. We collaborate and make sure that we have the appropriate ballots in appropriate languages for our diverse community and our electorate, as well as making sure that it is readable for the citizens. One thing with the ballot, you will find in other states they have a little more of a complex process, but throughout the state of California, things are fairly streamlined and simple. So in interacting with the San Diego County Registrar's Office, we just make sure they're in compliance with the needs that are specific to the Oceanside residents. And like I said, languages are most important. And then there are guidelines for how wording must be stated for whether it's a council candidate or a ballot initiative. So we make sure that council candidates and ballot initiative individuals make sure that they're in compliance with those regulations. And we also work in collaboration with the San Diego County Registrar's Office to make sure that they're producing those on the ballot for this upcoming November election.
Do you who has the direct responsibility for polling place efficiency and
That would be the
effectiveness?
San Diego County Registrar has the direct responsibility. However, they work in collaboration with my office to determine some of those best locations, and we're always trying to find as many polling places as possible to reach as many people as possible. And one thing you'll find along those lines is that trending right now throughout voting, and not only in the city of Oceanside, but throughout the state of California, is vote by mail. You're seeing that become a much more common a way for people to vote. In the upcoming election, we'd anticipate over 65% of the vote is going to be cast by mail. We had 61% in the 2014 gubernatorial election. So I'm anticipating even greater turnout through vote by mail, but we also want to have complete access throughout the entire city, where we're having as many polling places as possible in no matter what socioeconomic status anyone it is, no matter where their neighborhood is. I want to make sure they have a polling place within walking distance. That way they can get there and cast their ballot for whoever they want to vote for.
Are there any unique to Oceanside ballot initiatives we should be aware of?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So what was recently brought to my office was an initiative for medical marijuana dispensaries to come into the city of Oceanside, and that has already been brought into our office, and it's been advised and revised by the city attorney, and now you're going to see a circulating petition go throughout the city of Oceanside, and they have until August to get that petition back to the city of Oceanside, and they need 10% of registered voter signatures in order to qualify for the ballot. And if they do so, then the actual vote would be on whether or not to allow medical marijuana dispensaries, as well as the cultivation and growth of marijuana plants in the city of Oceanside. So that's going to be the only Oceanside-specific ballot initiative that's even possible. But other than that, you're just going to have the council race, the mayoral race, and the other elected races coming up in the 2016 election.
Well, Zach, that's our time, and I appreciate you giving us such a great overview of what goes on at the city clerk's office.
Great.
And thank you for watching. I want to remind you that this episode of The Voice and almost all other KOCT shows are available as video on demand at KOCT.org.
HBL Hair Care, healthy ingredients for healthy hair. Enhance health, reveal natural beauty, and give new life to your hair. Experience the holistic difference of HBL Hair Care.